I'm Anne, one of the librarians. I think most of you know that. So glad that all of you came. We are going to have this panel of juniors, seniors, and one alum to talk about their internship, how they found it, what sorts of things they ended up doing after the job, and how they were or were not prepared for certain things, and kind of they're going to give you their impressions of skills that are particularly important when you're working at an internship or looking for one, right? So Taylor Morrow, who works in the library, few of these people work in the library, but they're going to introduce themselves, not all, is going to be the moderator, and she's also going to share her experiences as well. So let's welcome her. And thank you.
Okay, like Anne said, I'm Taylor. I'm a junior right now, and so I'm just starting the internship process, and I currently have an internship with the Riker Center for Human Enhancement, which I'll be starting this summer. And I found it through CareerLink, so that's one of the ways that you can find an internship. And so now everybody else can introduce themselves.
I'm Nikki Schultz. I'm a Menlo alumni, graduated in May of this last year. And I got an internship at E2 Open, which is a company that sells cloud-based supply chain software. And I currently work there. That internship turned into a full-time job. And I was in the marketing department over there. I'm now in sales. And I found the internship actually through a connection from my dad who knew he works at one of the hardware companies over there. And I just utilized my network to go through the whole interview process and then
Okay, so I'm Julie Simcato, I'm a senior, and I had my internship at Frank Roman. It's an accounting firm in Palo Alto. How did I find it? I got a lot of help from my accounting professors. I sent them my resumes, and they, through their connection, they sent it out to all the firms, including the big four firms, and I ended up getting an interview from Frank Roman, so that's how I found it.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I actually know all of you, but just in case you all forgot. So where is my internship? I'm interning at ABC7. It's a TV station. You may have heard of it. Little operation. Our job is to produce newscasts at different times of the day, as well as broadcast ABC and Disney material over the air. You can watch us on Channel 7. And my little shameless plug.
Will we see you?
Yeah. No, you won't. I'll tell you what. I'll try to sneak on the news one of these days. I'll let you know ahead of time. And how did I find it? It's an interesting story. It started with Professor Kovis. He actually does this great little thing with his integrated marketing and communications class. He actually takes us to different advertising firms, media firms, things like that. And that's how I first met the people at ABC7. Is he took us there, and then I met one of my bosses, who's the director of promotions, at a job fair that they held in the city. It was primarily for journalism majors, but I figured why not. Basically, sometime later, we managed to connect. They took me on a tour of the studio, and the next thing I knew, I had a job. So that's my story.
My name's Ashley. I'm a psych major here. I'm also a senior. My internship was at FCE, or Foundation for College Education in East Palo Alto. It's an organization. It's kind of like a college access program where we help students not only graduate from high school, but also help them graduate from college. How did I find it? Angela was actually the one, Angela Schmid, she was the one that helped me find it. I was having a very difficult time trying to find an internship as a psych major, and she ended up calling Anna, which was a woman that she graduated with when she was doing her PhD at Stanford, and she called her out and she's like, hey, do you need an intern? They're like, yeah, sure, we'll take an intern. So that's how I got my internship.
Oh, there's one, but yeah, sorry. Okay, so the next question that we're going to be focusing on is what was your interview process like? And I actually have a funny story to share about my interview process because it was a little different than interview processes I've heard in the past. So Riker Center for Human Enhancement, the place that I've been training at, is a nonprofit organization in Menlo Park, and they have a bunch of different things going on, but they just focus on having a safe environment for kids to come and do whatever they want. And so when I first got there, I got a tour of the facilities, and then I spent 45 minutes talking with the founder and just joking around with him. And one of the things that he had me do was sing with him, which I thought was kind of interesting. He's like, we sometimes do this to see if kids like want to come here or not, and just see how open you are. But then I went on and sang with him, so it was kind of interesting. And then I had my actual interview after that, but I thought that was funny. So I'll open it up to anybody else that want to discuss their
I can go ahead. So I went through 5 interviews before I landed the internship. It was really scary. I was really well prepared because of actually the help of, was it Mary who was here before? And she helped me prepare kind of questions they might ask, questions I could ask, and that's something I actually really liked in my interview when I got feedback, was that I had a list of questions that I had for the company. And that showed, like, I cared, like, I was interested to learn more, I was interested to be a part of the company, so they really liked that. And then, I guess my funny story would be, I heard all these horror stories about, like, how the CEO or, like, an executive pretends to be your interviewer, like, an HR person or something, and then it really turns out to be, the executive. So I come in, and there's a really nice man sitting in the reception. And then I introduce myself and talk to him a little bit, and then all of a sudden he leaves and someone else comes. And then so later I found out that he was actually one of the executives who's filling in for one of the assistants there. But that was kind of it's kind of a feel for what the company was going to be like. They're all help each other out, and the executives are really approachable. But the interview process really was the hardest part. I mean, just kind of, figuring out like how to answer the questions without being too stiff. Like you still want to maintain your personality, but also give good answers. So it was finding a balance between those two. Was something I thought was.
You didn't need to sing.
I didn't need to sing. No, luckily. Sometimes I dance, but.
Okay, so my interview was not that extreme. Mine only was for only 2 rounds. The first round was only half an hour interview, and that's just introduction. They know, like they've seen your resume, so pretty much they want to see if you're easy to talk to more so. And so then the second round was a whole day. I came in the morning, and they had like an entire schedule planned out for you, and then you see like all the stages of management pretty much, first year associates, then senior associates, then managers, and then you get to talk to one partner. But pretty much it was a very friendly atmosphere, and it made me very comfortable during the interview. It was very like just an open-ended interview, and which I really enjoyed. I don't have any funny stories, I wish I did, but that was my interview process.
Well, I actually just essentially told you about my interview process a few minutes ago. I kind of just got the job. It was interesting. But I'm sure Ashley has a more interesting story than that.
It was pretty similar. I pretty much got the internship without even turning in a resume or a cover letter or talking to anyone. So after I even got the internship, they're like, well, at least like send in stuff so we know something about you. And then I kind of had like a phone interview just to talk to her so she could kind of get to know me. I think it was like a week before I started working. But other than that, there wasn't really an interview an interview to get ready for.
So one question that the internship director said that comes up a lot is, what do you do if you have multiple offers? And so I have a story about that as well, because I first had a phone interview with a different company, and then I had my interview already set for Riker Center, and after I did the phone interview, they automatically just gave me the job, or they were like, you can take this internship if you want it. And I was like, well, I have another interview coming up, so I'll just get back to you guys. And then I had my interview with the Riker Center, and I immediately fell in love with the place. So I talked to Andrea, who works for the internships, and we talked about it and like we did pros and cons, and I decided that I wanted to go with Riker Center, so I just sent an email to the other place that I interviewed with and told them that I was going for someone else. And since then I've gotten a couple other responses from people that I had applied to before, but I've just let them know that I already have an internship with somebody else. Anything else that? Okay, so the question specifically for Jason is, what happens if you mess up at your internship?
Oh goodness, that happens all the time. What happens? I kind of just get yelled at and move on now. So this is actually, I'm going to direct this to potential interns here in the library that are paying attention. But it's actually not all that bad. I remember like the first week I was there, I made a small arithmetic error. I was doing flow studies, which is you're actually watching the news minute by minute, and you're sort of watching how ratings are affected during that time. So you're trying to find behavior. You know, you're trying to see if people didn't like a certain story, or if they did. It's a long thing. And at the end of it, you do a little technical analysis, and like I said, and the analysis itself is like 50 pages long. It's ridiculous. But you're dealing with spreadsheets. I made one little error. I actually looked back. I had to double check my work and triple check it. But looking back at it, I made one little error, and my boss caught it right away, and I freaked out. It was one of the scariest things. I thought they were going to fire me right then and there. It wasn't that big of a deal. She told me, "Hey, you made a little mistake. Just double check your work," and we did it, and everything was fine in the end. So I have made a ton of mistakes since then. But every single time, I don't freak out anymore. I don't think they're going to fire me for making a mistake, because it is, you're new, they know this, and it's about learning and getting better at it.
Okay, so this question is specifically for Ashley. Did you always have clear tasks that were your own responsibility, or did you have to come up with ways to develop projects?
I was brought in technically to teach a class of middle schoolers, but because the program was only 6 weeks and we were supposed to do an internship for, 10 weeks, I ended up having to work in the offices 2 weeks in the beginning and 2 weeks at the end. And the first week I was there, my supervisor in the offices, he's like, "I really like the way that you work. Would you consider actually just staying here the entire summer and working here in the offices?" And I thought about it, and I thought that it would probably help me a lot more if I stayed there working in the offices, which I did, and I ended up essentially doing a program evaluation of their organization. And it ended up being, it's essentially what I did the whole summer. I wrote an 81-page APA format data analysis report. I think that's what he told me. The first time I heard it, I'm like, I have no idea what you just said, but I'll try to do what you told me to do.
Okay, so this question is for Vicki and Felice. Did you know going in that there might be a job offer, and did you feel you had control over that outcome?
Okay, I'll go first. Yes, I did know that going into this, there's a potential job offer. Luckily, there was 2 other accounting students the year before me that actually got the job offer at the same exact firm. So it gave me a lot of confidence going into this interview that there was a job offer potentially, and I think. Oh yes, yes, I think I did have a lot of control over it. I feel when I went to internship, like being very excited to learn, get to know the people in the firm, and I feel that you do have a lot of control of how you present yourself and how very invested you are into the firm and investing in what you want.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with what you said about like it being in your control. Going into it, I didn't know that I was going to end up with a job there. I really was looking at it for, I think it was an 8-week originally, just to experience, find out like marketing, what I want to do, and they actually had me on that rotation with the sales department, marketing, and then a little bit of finance, and that gave me the opportunity to see like, where do I want to find a job in the future. So I didn't think that going there would turn into a 2-year on-off internship. Just because the demand was really high, they really needed someone to do, the grunt work, I guess, which was actually really important to them. And then that turned into a job. And I think going into any internship, I mean, I feel like you should present yourself in a way that, you know, you're looking for that job opportunity, that eventually, you know, that can turn into a job that you want to stay with. And I think it depends on then, like, how you measure the company. Like, is it actually, like, the way you present yourself is one aspect of it, and then how you feel about the company is the second aspect of it.
This question is specifically for Ashley. How have you kept up with your employer since leaving your internship, and what is your new role with the company?
I'm currently an advisor on their internship committee. They want to make up their kind of own internships there for their high schoolers. So every few weeks we kind of just meet up and essentially we just talk about things that worked in my internship, things that didn't, things that I would have liked to have a better experience for their high schoolers who will be having an internship during high school, which is kind of a bigger thing for them.
So this is for everybody. What was your relationship like with your supervisor, and how did you
Well, I talked to them. Probably helped.
Kind of how I mentioned before with all the executives being really open at the company, like everyone about the work, everyone there was like that. So when you made things, when people asked so during my internship experience, everyone was very friendly and approachable. So, and then asking a lot of questions, like instead of messing up, like ask a question if you're not sure about something. If you do mess up, like they know you're an intern, like they know you're going to make mistakes, they know you're there to learn as well. So I don't know how much you but so I think just communicating with them through whatever means necessary, face to face, is usually just the best. Just have a conversation, but then I mean, just all means.
Well, in an accounting perspective, you talk to your supervisor a lot. I talk to her pretty much every day. I had to, because she was the one giving me the tasks that I was to do throughout the day. And I feel like I built a really good relationship with my supervisor. She helped me with everything that I needed help with pretty much. And she was always checking up on me if I was like just doing my work. And she would try to make it doing okay. Or like, I think it's break time. Like you've been at the computer for like 2 hours. Like, so it was a really friendly relationship with my supervisor.
Excuse me. So I actually have a great relationship with my supervisor, but at first I wasn't too sure, but eventually we started meeting every morning. We started talking more, and I think it's kind of grown into now it's more of a friendship as well as a work relationship. Like at some point we're going to go hike up the Coit Tower. So, yeah, we're actually very close. So if you're ever near Coit Tower, come visit me. And let's see. My office is right across the hall from her office. So usually I just walk in to see her. Sometimes I totally break the formality, just breaks down with a shout across the hallway. But yeah, for the most part, it's a lot of personal communication.
I think I had a really good relationship with my supervisor. He was able to guide me, but at the same time he wasn't kind of like a hawk standing over me and like trying to see exactly what I'm doing on this report. But at the same time I would bring my work to him and like, is this what you want? Is this the way that you want it? And I think that he really liked that. That was one of the things that I know he told Zach he liked. And it was also something that I took from the internship orientation, that before you finish something, like give them a little kind of like sample and show it to them, is this the way that you want it to be done? And I think that's something that's really helped me from the orientation that we had.
Okay, so this question is also for everybody. What do you wish you'd known going into your internship?
That for me, there's so many things that you want to be prepared for going into the internship. But for me, I think there are some skills. For example, specifically, I remember with Excel struggling with some of the things they wanted me to do in that. So I had to ask a lot of questions and get a lot of guidance with that. And other than that, I think Menlo prepared me really well for whatever Menlo actually working in the library and sharing those databases helped with that. So really, I felt like I was prepared.
Well, to be honest, going into my internship, I was really stressed out because I thought like, oh, I have to know everything about accounting and everything. But I think that we perceive internships as like you have to know everything, like get everything down. But I feel that your internship is there to help you learn. And I feel that if I known that going into it, I wouldn't have stressed out so much weeks before. But I think that overall, the internship is there to help you, like get it, like yeah, you'll learn, like you'll need the skills that you learn in your classes. But I feel that it's a learning experience of what the world will look like, and that there's going to be people around you helping you.
So, I wish I knew a lot more about TV going into it. I mean, they use all these terms, I have no idea what they mean, like hut-hut. I just recently learned it means households using TV, people using TV, for anybody that's going into TV. And, but I think Julie's is right. I think one of the biggest things I wish I knew was that it's not a deal breaker if you don't know everything going into it. I think it's about thinking through your problems, asking questions, learning, and then from there doing the best that you can. People, I believe, inherently appreciate effort and thoughtfulness. So I think if you can display those two things while working, you're going to impress everybody.
What I wish I had known as a psych major was Excel. He pulled up this spreadsheet with a bunch of numbers on it. He's like, I want you to make a data analysis report. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I was just like, okay. So like with that, I spent like probably like the first 2 days just researching on my own what a data analysis report was and trying to figure out these numbers and how to make sense of them, because I was like, I'm not even sure how to put these numbers together, what they really mean, because they were coming from surveys, and I was supposed to take those numbers and interpret them and analyze them and kind of put them in the way like, oh, your students are satisfied with this, but they're dissatisfied with this. They're having problems with that, but not with this. And then it was a real experience for my internship, but I did learn. I got some more experience with Excel at my internship.
Okay, so now we'll open it up to questions that anybody might have specifically upcoming.
Jason, do you think there might be an opportunity for you at Channel 7 after you graduate? And if so, would you be interested?
So that, like all my other answers, it's going to be really long and complicated. So what we're talking about right now is possibly doing some freelance work for them. And I would be interested in doing that for the short term. However, since taking this internship, I've learned that this is definitely not a career that I'd like. I don't want to stay in television. I don't know how much I should say about why I don't want to do it, but it has to do with industry trends. And I think I definitely want to get into something, something different, earlier on. Yes, and
Yeah.
maybe.
I would extend that question. I don't know if it was asked. Did anybody else change their career objectives based on their internship?
Yes. I thought I had wanted to work in an office, but after working in an office for like 8 hours a day, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I need to have more communication, because I thought that I wanted like that extreme like independence, like I know what I'm doing, I'm here at my desk, I know what I have to do. But then after a while, I'm like, I want to talk to people, I want to do some teamwork stuff, like I don't know, let's do some team building activities or something. I don't know, I just realized that I liked interaction a lot more. I also did some focus groups of students, so that I also realized that I really liked working with students, and I'm kind of heading towards more like kind of like a teaching career right now, or somewhere in education, and that's something that I realized during this internship.
And for me, actually, I knew I didn't want to go into finance after being with them for a little while. That's something, just for me personally, it was never my strength. Just the amount of hours they put in, I feel like constantly changing constraints they had. Like for me, that was something I didn't want to do. And then it's interesting because I was a marketing person now, and I was in sales, and now being in sales, I know that's something I don't want to continue doing for a really long time. I know it's a really, really good experience right now, and I like kind of like Jason was saying, I like doing it right now, but I don't see myself making a career out of it. I really would like to go back to the marketing part of it, gain some experience with sales, and then go back to my original marketing internship and what I was doing there, and building on that.
Did you shift into sales because that's where the opportunity was?
Yeah, so there was no, I really wanted to stay in marketing, but there was no opportunity there. And then also going back to the supervisor relationship, kind of suggested I apply to sales job, and she said the intrinsic, I guess, attributes of a salesperson, so that I would be good for that role.
So watch out for this one.
Business to business selling.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me just say that Andrea was here earlier. She couldn't stay for the panel. But she's reminding you, all of you at your computers, I'm telling you too, the career fair is tomorrow. This doesn't apply to most of these up here, but to remember your resumes, it's business casual, and please go to the gym at 1 o'clock, right? 1 to 2. Sorry. Don't go at 1. Go at 2.
Show your eager soul. What?
And now, everybody, there's lots of food and tea, and join us in the conversation.
Someone should probably turn the camera off.
Keep laughing.
Hey, you did so great. I'm glad I got this. Yeah, I mean, if you would. Well, I came here. I have to make the count. Or we just walk in? Oh, no problem. I'm glad I made the tail end.